Okay, I forgot to put this in yesterday's video, so I'm going to start today's out with it. This is the pita bread that I was talking about. Um, this is a full loaf of it. It looks like it's Yasmin Bakery. Uh, it's actually made in Dearborn, Michigan. The phone number, if you want it here, is on here. It's 313-582-6035 or 313-582-1544. www.yasminbakery.com, and that's Yasmin there, bakery. Let me get a loaf out and show you why this is really good. Okay, this is what you want to look for in a good pita bread. Number one, it's really soft, and it's actually 2 layers thick, and it's still only that thin. So when we eat it, we usually just rip it in half like that, and then you can separate it, and you can see how thin it is. So if you're going to the store and you're getting that pita bread that's about this big around, and it is two-sided like that, but each side is, you know, pretty thick, that's not pita bread. That stuff isn't near as good as this. So, you know, we're lucky to have an international food store in South Lansing, and they carry this. So I would recommend, if you want to get some, and this is really good pita bread. If you got one of those, an international food store in your area, then you know, try them. They may have it, or hit this website, or call them or something. Maybe they can tell you of a distributor in your area. I don't know how big this is. Oh, look at that right here on the package. It says baked fresh daily, we ship nationwide. So you've got their website, you've got their phone numbers. They're in Dearborn, Michigan. So check it out. It's really, really good bread. Okay, I'm still inside today taking care of Diesel. You know, he gets a little bit better every day. He's laying down there on the floor right now sleeping, so I don't really want to bother him. He's kind of medicated all the time anyway. So anyway, today's dish is going to be cabbage rolls, and I've got the ingredients laid out here. But basically, we're going to have some rice. You know, I've got some diced tomatoes, and I've got some tomato sauce, and I've also got some tomato juice. I'm not a big tomato fan, so I like to have a little bit more sauce than actual tomato stuff. So if you really like tomatoes, then you can skip the tomato sauce, or not the sauce, but the tomato juice. You do want to have a little bit of sauce in there, and then you can use diced or stewed or whatever type of tomatoes you like. Some lemon juice, allspice, ground allspice, and then of course pepper, salt, and like with a lot of Lebanese dishes, ground cinnamon, and then of course cabbage. So the first thing we're going to do now, this recipe only calls for 1 head of cabbage, which I don't know how they can do that, because, you know, they different sizes and stuff. I always get extra because I like the leaves that lay flat. A lot of times when you start digging deeper into the head of cabbage, it starts to get really, you know, not a flat leaf, but all curly, and it's hard to make a cabbage roll. So when I get to that point, I'd still save it, and I'll show you why a little bit later. But that way you can use leaves that are a lot easier. So to prep the cabbage, we're going to want to boil it, but we don't boil it until it's cooked. What you want to do is you want to cut the core out of it here, and that will let the water get inside of it and make it soften up a little better, and it'll also help it to come apart. But we want to cook this just until basically it softens up enough so we can work with it, because it is going to cook in once it's rolled and in the pot too. So you don't want to make it so soft that by the time it's done cooking they just fall apart because the cabbage is overcooked. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a pot of water boiling, and then once I start to get this to soften up a little bit, I'll show you how to prep each leaf. Okay, and that's kind of what it looks like once the core is cut out. So that way, as it starts to soften up and boil, you can just peel the leaves off a lot easier. And also, too, you don't want a raging hot boiling tub of water. In fact, I put them in there when the water's still pretty cool, because we just want it to get soft enough to come off of there. So you know, you don't want it to happen so fast that by the time you're peeling the cabbage apart, it's overcooked. So, okay, I have all of the cabbage boiled and separated. And basically what you're going to do here is you're going to cut this heavy part out of the middle, the heart. And then with what's left, you're going to try to cut some pieces where you can roll cabbage into it. Now out of this one here, I'm going to get 3 pieces. They don't have to be perfect. Of course, they don't have to be perfect squares or anything. But this is a little bit tedious, going through all of this and cutting it out and doing it. But once, well, you still got to roll them. That's a little bit monotonous too. But once that's done, then we'll mix up the meat, and then we'll just have to roll them, throw them in a pot, and then you can kind of walk away a little bit for a while. Okay, just to recap this again, this one's a little bit curlied up, kind of like if you remember that episode of Seinfeld in that shirt. You want to cut the ruffles of the shirt off because they just don't roll up. So down here at the end, I'll whack that off, and I'll whack this off. And then a lot of this stuff, especially these thicker hearts, I'll save them because I'll line the bottom of the pan with them. Because once this is cooking, you won't be able to stir it. So whatever's on the bottom, if it's not protected, it will come out burnt. So I would rather burn some of these heart pieces than the actual cabbage roll. So I'm almost done. I just got a few left here, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, I have the cabbage all broken into pieces now. It's time to mix up the meat. Basically, like I said, a big bowl here really helps. So we're going to dump in. Now I'm going to put double of everything I'm saying because I'm making a double batch, but it calls for 1 cup of rice. Mix that in a little bit. You want to make sure, because you're getting in here up to your elbows, that you washed your hands here before you started, which I did before I turned the camera on. And I think right now, probably going to need more rice. You know I do, because it takes a pound and a half of ground beef, which actually I used 90-10. Again, you don't want it so greasy, and but you don't want it extra lean, because then the meat isn't really as tender. And but I put 4 pounds in here, so 3 would have been a double batch. I'm putting in an extra pound, so this is how exact it needs to be. We're just going to put the rest of this bag in, and then we'll see if I need more from there. But basically, I'm looking for the rice to be pretty saturated throughout the meat. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands real quick, and then we're going to start adding in some seasonings. Okay, the first thing is a tablespoon of salt. We'll put 1 tablespoon in, and then a second one here, which I'm going to make just a little bit heaping because of the extra pound of beef that's in there. Okay, we need a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to be putting in a whole one, obviously. And again, I don't put extra pepper in, just a touch here because we got a little bit extra meat, but I don't want it to be spicy hot. Okay, and then we need a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, of ground cinnamon. And again, I'll be putting in a whole one with just a little extra. And then we need a quarter teaspoon of allspice. So I'll be putting in a half a teaspoon of that. And then the last thing I need is some butter. For now anyway. 2 tablespoons, so 4. Basically need this chunk of butter. Okay, I'm going to dive in now and mix this all up, and we'll be back to you in just a second. I got the meat all mixed up, and you want a consistency when you grab it that it's got some rice and stuff in it. You can do it however you want. I ended up adding 3 or 4 extra cups of rice to get it to that way. Of course, I do have a double batch here and an extra pound. Here's the pot that I'm cooking in. I've kept a lot of these the hearts that I cut out of the cabbage, and I lined the bottom of them. That'll stop the bottom cabbage rolls from getting burnt. And then I have a bunch of just I got like 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, and I cut up the pieces, not 3 or 4 whole cloves, but a big clove, and then 3 or 4 pieces out of it, and cut them up and put them in there. And then you just want to, every layer, including the bottom, you just want to put some tomato in there. Spread that around a little bit, and then we're going to line the cabbage rolls this way, and then this way, and then this way, and that'll stop them from kind of gluing themselves together while they cook. You'll be able to get them out of there once it's done. So let's get over here, and I'll show you how to roll them up, and this is a little bit of a lengthy process here too. So anyway, here we go. Okay, what you're going to do here is lay out your cabbage roll, or your cabbage leaf. Roll you out a little piece to go in there. And then roll it up. Now you got to remember, these are going to grow because of the rice. So you don't want to put a big old wad in there, because when you get it done, you're going to have one hell of a cabbage roll. And then I just line them in and continue to keep lining them in until all the meat is gone, or I run out of meat, and then there's cabbage left. But either way, prefer to run out of meat before cabbage. And I've been working on this pretty much all day. So again, this is not a meal that you can throw together when you get home from work. But if you take the time to make it on the weekend, then you can get home from work and you can warm up a few and eat them. Which is what I do. And then, like I say, I like to give a little bit away to people, and because you can't really make a batch for just yourself. So even these little pieces like this, you can make a little cabbage roll out of them. See, they don't all have to be perfect. Okay, and that goes on and on until they're done. Okay, I've been rolling them for a while. This plate, they're reduced down a little bit. I still got a lot of meat. This is what it's looking like inside here. I've got a row and a half done. So I've got the bottom row going this way, and then this row will go this way. And then that way, like I said, you'll be able to get them apart. But each row you want to put in there. When I get done with this row, I'll add some more tomatoes, a little more sauce, and on and on and on up until I get to the top. And then I'll throw a little lemon juice in on top of it. And then we'll start cooking it. So I still got a little while left to get this all rolled up. Okay, I've got them all rolled up. I've still got some cabbage left over, but that's okay because a lot of these are pieces I didn't want to use unless I had to. That's why I always boil more than I need. But pot's a little full. I've got, I think, 4 rows, maybe 5, and then these top few here. In between each row, I put in some tomato sauce and tomatoes. So now I'm going to fill it up with tomato juice until I got a level over here. I'm going to drop some lemon in there, and then I'm going to put it on the stove, kind of heat it, you know, maybe around medium for a bit. And then once it starts to heat up and you see bubbles and stuff coming through, and then we'll turn it down to simmer and we'll cover it up and cook it. This likely will take close to a couple hours to cook. So been at it all day, but we're getting close. The payoff's coming. So anyway, I'm going to put it on the stove now. Okay, got it on the stove now. I took some of the pieces of cabbage that didn't get used for rolling up and kind of put it on the top there. It sort of seals it off. And you know, my grandma always did this, and then in the end, most people don't eat the sauce and the tomatoes and stuff, and she'd take all that out in this cabbage, and there's always broken cabbage rolls in there, so there's some meat and rice and stuff, and then she'd make this into a soup. So I never ate it because I'm not that big of a fan on tomatoes, but I do like tomato flavor, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, like I say, once this starts to show that it's got some heat in it, then we'll turn the heat down, we'll cover it up, and then it's just a slow cook from there. Probably a couple hours. It's 6:35 right now, so it'll probably be 8:30. So we'll probably be taking this off and then letting it cool and putting it in the fridge for tomorrow. But I'll tell you, reheating this tomorrow, it'll taste so much better than even tonight. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it now. A couple hours to cook, and then probably eat it tomorrow, I would think. Anyway. Okay, we're starting to get a little heat in here. See a little bubbling here and there. So, but the way to tell when these are done, you know, you'll know that when they've been boiling a while that they're getting close. You're just going to have to take one out and see if it's done. You know, make sure the rice is done and the cabbage isn't crispy or anything like that. If the top ones are done, the bottom ones are definitely done. So when these top ones are ready, you know you're good to go. Okay, they've been cooking for about an hour and 20 minutes or so right now. I think they're done. I pulled a couple out here. I'm going to take a test here and we'll see how they are. Okay. Well, I can see the cabbage just needs a little bit more. Oh, but man, they're good. We'll let them cook about 10 more minutes, and then I'll let them cool in the pan for 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, and they'll be nice and done, but I'll be saving the rest of them for tomorrow to eat. But these are really good. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I did it good enough so if you want to make them that, you know, you can follow it and do it. There is also, there's this book here. Is a guide. I don't follow anything in it exactly, but that's kind of just the way I am. But this has got the base recipes in it. It's called Kibbe and Spice and Everything Nice. Kibbe's delicious too. It's by Janet Kalush, I think is how you say that, K-A-L-U-S-H. But this has a lot of recipes. These are wada rish right here, grape leaves, kebabs, That's probably the chicken and rice. I don't really know. But there's a lot of good recipes in here. Kousa's in here, which is one of my favorites. And there's recipes to make bread and stuff. So this is a good book. But like any cookbook, you know, you got to alter it a little bit to your own taste. So anyway, thanks a bunch for watching. Hope you enjoyed me making the cabbage rolls. Diesel's getting better every day. He's a little bit better today than he was yesterday. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up, and we will see you on the next video. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the cooking videos this weekend. I got to get back to work Monday, and Diesel's getting out of a couple of his medicines here, so that's good. I have to start giving him less and less. So anyway, he's healing pretty good, but you know, winter's coming up. It's not quite here yet. I want to do some snow plowing videos with my Kubotas, so I'm just kind of waiting for the snow to hit. But you know, if you want some memories and stuff, there's one right here. There's another one down here that you can watch, and if those aren't enough, there's another one here and another one down here. So snow is snow. They're a couple years old, but you get the idea. Thanks for watching.